London wouldn't be here if it weren't for the River Thames. I mean, the Romans that rode over here and found London, or Londinium, they would have been watermen, they would have rode over. You know, London's here because of trade, and we're in the middle of one of the biggest trading centres in the world.
Watermen back in the day used to row these wherries. Industry and commerce was all very, very close to the river. They were the taxi drivers of the day, and it was the way people were transported. Day in, day out, night in, night out.
You can become a waterman and lighterman still. A waterman carries passengers and a lighterman carries cargo.
My family go back to the 1780s and I'm the 7th generation waterman and lighterman. We are a very rare breed. I describe ourselves as London's last community. All those traditional trades have been forced out of London, and we're fortunate enough to still be here, and we're freemen of the River Thames, and that means we are free to go where we want to on the Thames.
Doggett's has always been a family, a close-knit community. This year we only had 2 people rowing the race. We've got to get it out to people that anyone can row Doggett's, as long as you abide by the rules of the will of Thomas Doggett, that you get apprenticed, you serve your apprenticeship, at the end of your apprenticeship you become a waterman, a lighterman and a freeman of the company, you can row this great race.
Doggett's is so important because of the history of it alone. It goes back over 300 years now. It's not like boat race, it's not like Henley. It's Doggett's coat and badge, and it's a working man's race on the River Thames, on the tideway.
It's a race about family honour and pride.
It's a wager that was put in place by Thomas Doggett in 1715, and he was a comedian.
The romantic story was that he wanted to get home one day. There was a very bad fog on the River Thames. None of the watermen would take him. Young boy took him across. He got him home safely. Thomas Doggett looked after this young apprentice. And when Thomas Doggett died, he left money in his will for a race to be rowed for young apprentices the year they come out of their freedom. It has always been, since 1715, raced from London Bridge, the Swan Pub, to the Swan Pub at Chelsea.
The race for Doggett's coat and badge isn't the hardest race in the world, but the pressure of it makes it the most important race in the world. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. You've got peer pressure, family pressure, you've got people in your families that haven't won Doggett's. They're haunted by it for years.
I think the Doggett's coat and badge winners were certainly amongst the river community, were held in hugely high regard. That bit of the river, it's quite a big bit of river and it can be quite bumpy and quite rough, and the water's moving underneath you all the time.
These men would row the race in the boats that they rowed. They were they were the cabs of the day. So you would get in one of their wherries, and if you see this ornate board, or you see a waterman with a silver badge on his arm, you knew he was a professional sculler, you knew he was a good sculler. You knew you'd get home safe and you knew you'd get home fast.
The Watermen are one of, if not the oldest livery company in London, and they've certainly been involved in the running of this city for about 900 years. So I can't think of anything more integral to London's history than the Watermen.
It's keeping our culture, it's keeping our history embedded into the River Thames, and it's absolutely unique. Where else in the world do you find it? You don't. It's just one river, one race.
The river to me is everything. You know, I've been on the river 6-7 years now, and it's just my family from generation to generation have been on the river. I couldn't think of anything else to do. I've moved from jobs, I've been on the party boats where, you know, you're taking customers up and down and they're having a good time and you're sitting there working. And now at the moment I'm working for Thames Clippers on the river bus service. To compete in Doggett, you have to work on the river. It's not like you can come from the outside and do the race. You have to work, you have to be a freeman. You know, you have to have your licenses. This is my third one, last one You only get 3 attempts, and this year, you know, it's driven me so hard to want to win, especially family orientated. You know, my uncles, my cousin, they've all won it. Training for Doggett's is hard. It's very intense. You know, that work and training balance is hard to achieve. You know, you go from working 5 days a week and then afterwards going out training. It is dedication, it is, and it is hard, but you just have to push for it, and you drive yourself to want that Doggett. So you want to win at the end of the day. Doggett's is very, you know, it's different to the Oxford and Cambridge race. It's totally the opposite. You know, you haven't got them people there in the boat with you to push you through a race. You know, you're there on your own. You've got to do from London Bridge to Doggett on your own and as fast as you can to beat the other competitors.
When I first started rowing, you know, as a kid you always have dreams of, you know, like maybe going to the Olympics or World Championships. It wasn't none of that for me. For me it was winning Doggett's. Yeah, I'm rowing through Poplar. I'm rowing out of London, but I'm rowing for Poplar. So I don't know how many people I've upset. Maybe quite a few. I'm sure they'll understand. I'm rowing for Poplar for my old coach, like Martin Spencer. So like, he taught me how to row. He sort of got me started on the River Thames. This is, you know, if he didn't teach me how to row and teach me about the river, I wouldn't be racing Doggett's. You know, I might not even be working on the river. And it ain't been well recently, so I thought, you know, I promised the club I'd win Doggett's for them, so that's what I'm going to do. And I just hope London rowing clubs, they're just going to have to understand, don't they? You know, if you make a promise, you've got to keep your promise. So that's that really. That's why I'm rowing for Poplar. I work for City Cruises, so yeah, we're doing some long hours at the minute. We never really get a chance to relax or recover, so yeah, it's hard. A lot of people try to help me out. I've had a load of boys at work say they'd go over the course with me, you know, and they know what it means, because when they say they're going to go over the course with you, when we go over the course really early in the morning. We're talking like 5:30 in the morning, you're down there, so you miss all of the other boats. Nobody sees you training, and you row over the course. So, you know, for them to say, I'll go over the course with you, then drive the boat all the way back with you, and then go to work for 12 hours, you know, it's helpful. Again, like the river, it's all one big family. In the same with at Poplar, a lot of them, it was my family at Poplar, they're all freemen, they're all Thames Waterman and lightermen. And so we all sort of band together really, like we know who our friends are out on the river, you know who your mates are, you know it's a fantastic place to be really, because you know there's always going to be someone there to help you out, to have your back. When I lost the first year, you could see how a lot of them was proper disappointed. Like, I think one of them said to me, like, what was you doing? Like, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you train? Because they knew, and they was right though, because they knew I could have won easily. Like, easily could have won if I trained, but I didn't. I've probably gone about the race the wrong way. I've been a bit stupid leaving it to the last minute, but I always leave everything to the last minute, so it don't matter.
Coming to Waterman's always a big deal. You know, you start your apprenticeship off here, you get bound in here, and then through the years you can go to different events, you can come to dinners up here, and I always get nervous coming up here. I don't know why, it's just something, you know, but I enjoy it when I come up here. It's a good experience. So today was the draw for Doggett's. Every year it happens before the race, you pick your colours, you pick your lane, and it's very nerve-wracking sitting there. It's like an interview. You come in, they're all looking at you.
It's always a little bit nervous coming in, but this isn't the big day. Like, whatever happens today isn't going to change the outcome of the race, so it's not too much drama. The lanes are all right. Then the colour, no, I'm not happy with the colour. I don't like orange, it's not my colour.
You know, this year it was hard to see two people scull over the race. To enable you to row the race, you have to pass your exams. 3 of the boys didn't pass their exams this year, which was really unfortunate. The race has got to continue. Thomas Doggett's will said it will go on forever, and we've got to make sure it does. But we do need to encourage younger boys and girls to take part and get a life on the river.
I used to row when I was younger, but I didn't serve an apprenticeship on the river, so I wouldn't have been eligible to row unless I decided to work on the river, which I decided not to. Sometimes I do look back though and think that it would have been a really good thing to be a part of, especially as a girl, actually, to have a girl racing and winning would have been really good.
I think the Doggett's coat and badge has always been a very male domain. People have assumed that women wouldn't race in it, but there's no reason why they shouldn't. It's a race that is much more about watermanship. It's much more about understanding the currents and the tides and being in the right place on the river. And if you were fit and strong, I don't know whether a woman could win it outright, but they could certainly have a good crack at it and a good go at it.
I was the first female competitor to race for the Doggett's coat and badge wager in 1992. I entered heats and beat 10 men to qualify in the main race against 6 men, and I came third. I would love to have more women working on the water. It's a question of, will women want to do it? They should do, because it's great to do. Will they be encouraged to do it? I'm not sure, but I think it could bring a whole new life to it. And I hope and pray one day there will be a winner of the female variety. I'm sure there will, there can, and there should be.
Definitely the future of Doggett's is not in doubt. I know I've got a list of boys and girls, thankfully, girls as well, that want to row the race. So next year we'll have 5 or 6.
Today's been a really big day for apprentices. They've come here to be bound, to start their training, and then they'll spend 5 years learning their work on the River Thames, and in 5 years' time they'll come back and be examined for the freedom of the company, and once they've got the freedom they can then row for Doggett's coat and badge.
Welcome. Great load of people here today. It's the most I've ever seen, I think. A supportive home background is immensely helpful to young men and women at the start of their apprenticeship. They need all the help and encouragement to study and to ensure they make good use of the time and work on the River Thames. The company will play our part, but in exchange, we trust that you will pay something back to help us out.
It's a tremendous family feeling, because if you're working on water, then things can happen that can be difficult, and everybody has to rely on everybody else in an emergency. And that's why it's a really close team. It's a wonderful family, it really is, and everybody knows everybody else. We would like to think that everybody that's come today will at least try rowing. Some of them won't like it, and some of them will, and those that do like it will give every encouragement. So it's really important to us that everybody has a go at Doggett's coat and badge.
My dad's told me a lot, and my granddad took part in the Doggett's and he's done really well, but obviously I want to become the first person to actually win it, and I'm obviously going to try really hard, and hopefully one day I'll be able to win it.
Both of my sons won it. My oldest boy won it in '73. My youngest boy won it in '76, wasn't it?
I've got 2 daughters, and they're not coming afloat, so they won't be working on the river. So it's down to you. They've got to get their finger out, but you've got 5 years, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Recently I found out it's only me and Alf racing, And I was a bit shocked at first because you normally have up to 6 people racing Doggets. It's been going on for centuries, years, 360 odd years, and to see that you've only got 2 people racing it is quite worrying. We need to promote it and the people of the river, the apprentices, get them into rowing, get them to enjoy a sport that they can achieve something great. I've got generations of family that worked on the river, my uncle, my cousins, I've got granddad, his granddad, his dad as well. They've all worked on they used to work in the docks, doing all the docker work and, rowing the barges up and down the river. I have spoke to my granddad before he passed away. He told me stories about his dad and his granddad, how the river worked back then and how busy it was and how it was essential to get things into London and stuff like that. So it does go back quite a long way, My granddad was always, there telling us stories about what he used to get up to, in the docks, and when they used to, take bottles of port and wine home from the barges and stuff like that, and just how much they enjoyed it, and you look back now and you see how he was, and and you're kind of following what he's doing. He did. He seen me the first year. Unfortunately, the second year he was in hospital. He spoke to me and said, "Just do your best. That's all you can do at the end of the day."
I came down here to train, do a few race pieces, and the boat house is shut. The key's gone missing. It's been missing for a couple of days, and it's. I don't need it really, it's a setback, and got 20 days until the race. So I want to be getting every session in, and some idiot's lost the key. So I'm not happy, fuming really. Yeah, I would have gone training in this. Yeah, it'd be fine. It's peaceful, running in the rain, especially when everybody's gone in there. But when you got out there on your own in this, you've got the whole river to yourself. You ain't got none of those pleasure boats going by. The people that don't have a clue what they're doing, you just got the river to yourself. It's nice and relaxing. It's nice. It's more for the mindset, really. 20 days, you ain't going to get much fitter in 20 days. It ain't going to happen. But technically, you can improve a little bit, which is, some little technical margins. All those 1 little percents, they all add up over the course of a long race like Doggett. Spare key. Just found a spare key. Well, just got a spare key from the office. It's more frustrating that I found a spare key than if I hadn't have found the key at all, because now I've been here almost an hour and a half. And now I'm hungry. It is what it is, isn't it? The 2 of us, I think it's going to be more fun. I don't know, maybe for George, I don't know how George is thinking, maybe a little bit more pressure on George. Because if you fall behind, you're last. That's it, there's no one else for you to work off of. You're in last place, you're out the back. But then again, that's where I'm hoping my experience sort of comes. Like I said, I've been around 9 years. He works on the Clippers, they come up to here at Putney Pier. He does the upriver service, he told me. So obviously when I go training, so I'm going right up close to where the Clipper berths and spin around. And I don't know how serious he's taking it. He might have the old binoculars out watching me rowing down. You never know, do you? I wanted to be nervous. I wanted to be scared. It's both of our last year, so there's a lot riding on it really. It's my coating badge. I want to be the one wearing it. I'm going to be the one wearing it, so I can't let him win.
Rowing isn't an elitist sport. It's not an aloof sport. You've just got to go to a club and start. And when you start, you can go anywhere. And it doesn't matter where you're from, if you row and you train, everyone accepts each other.
If you think rowing is a posh sport, you're completely wrong. Look at the clubs in Greenwich, Gravesend Rowing Club, Erith Rowing Club. Talk to those journeymen, talk to those people that have actually do row, compete at the highest of levels actually.
Sport was divided between professional and amateurs, not just in rowing but in other sports too, in track and field, where professional people who worked with their hands weren't allowed to compete against the amateur gentlemen who were seen as the sort of Corinthian spirits of true sport and Olympism. You know, the workers were something else, even though the workers were quite often better and faster than the gentlemen amateurs.
The line of thought from the Amateur Rowing Association was, well, if people are doing jobs in banks and coming out of universities, it was an unfair advantage for them to race people doing manual work. The irony is now, it's a complete role reversal. Because anyone going to university they study, but they've got time to train, where people going to work are trying to fit it in around it. And so the gulf now is really big with universities, big clubs now, where it used to be the other way around.
In fact, the demographics of the area have changed so much in recent years. We hosted a club dinner about 3 years ago, and I made a speech saying we used to have 150 East End people eating posh food. Now we've got 150 posh people eating East End food.
I came along with him today just to watch him sort of in training. I used to row myself, so any tips that I can give him that he might want to listen to? I imagine he's pretty nervous. Only going from how my brother was when he rowed, it's a pretty sort of daunting thing, it's a long way. But he's been training hard, so he can just go out there and do the best that he can, and we're looking forward to supporting him on the day.
Feeling prepared, you could say. We've only got 6 days now, 6 days. Next Tuesday, and then it's Judgment Day, the day where what it's all been working up to be. Feeling a bit nervous, a bit apprehensive, but feeling I just want to get on with it.
So, I hurt my shoulder and my neck, all the muscles. I think I slept on it funny, it all seized up, and I woke up and I couldn't move my neck, like I was stuck. I don't want to make it any worse. If it hurts, I'll just stop a bit early, but I think it'll be okay. As long as I keep looking after it, see me physio, it'll be all right. I'm looking forward to it. Not too nervous, just excited. I can't wait for it to be over and done with. It's been 3 years of my life. I've had enough of it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I took up rowing because I wasn't very good at other sports, and for me, getting in the boat and learning to row gave me a really different feeling of sort of empowerment and freedom, I suppose. When the boat actually really moves and when you finally work out how to make a boat sort of fly, it really does feel like you're taking off.
I've been in difficult races, hard races. Now the Doggett's Coat and Badge from a physical point of view wasn't the hardest race, but from mentally, and because of the expectations from the family, no doubt it is the hardest race that I've ever rowed.
Your whole body is burning, ready for that start. Once that whistle or the horn blows, you're just gone, you're just lost in your rhythm, you're lost in everything. And I can even feel it 30 odd years later, that feeling of everybody's looking at you, everybody expecting you to do well or bad.
When I won Doggett's, it was a total letdown. And then I saw my mother and father, and it was the biggest pickup in my life because they were so pleased.
It's not difficulty, it's just that it's hard. It's hard, and you have to put a lot of work in it if you do want to win it. I was lucky because, as I say, I had my brother and I had a lot of people who helped me, but you still have to push yourself. I was lucky and I come through and won it.
But it's the most nerve-wracking race on the day. You just don't know what to do with yourself, and it's because there is so much to go wrong. You're trying to get through bridges, you're worried about tides, you're worried about catching a bag. There's so many things, but more importantly, it's a race of one-on-one. Doggett's, you're racing to get in the lead and dominate the race.
I won Doggett's in 2010 and I come every race. I don't like to miss a race now.
You know, this race is a sort of a way of celebrating the way things were in days gone by. You know, this isn't like just a friendly old river. This is a really, really dangerous body of water.
On the boat today, his family, friends. He's done really well this year, training. They're both equal, both fit. It's going to be a very good race.
Good luck to both of them today. I'm actually torn. I'd love to see Alfie win. I'd love to see George win. The best sculler on the day must win and keep the legend of Thomas Doggett alive and living on the River Thames.
The best you've got, mate, and enjoy it, yeah?
He's unfurling his flag now. There's the flag going up, and they're off. Go.
Right, they're off now. Started just before London Bridge, probably about the mark where Thomas Doggett would have wanted the race to start from. Alfie Anderson has got something like about a 3 to 4 lengths lead. Young George McCarthy is really hanging in there, and he's rating a little bit higher than Alfie, and hanging into a good position. You know, if George could have a little bit of a push at this stage and get a little bit closer, then I think we could be in for a very, very good race at the finish. But again, it's still a race going on, and I think it's going to stay something like this, unless there's a mishap somewhere.
Come on, George!
He's still keeping in front of George and making sure that he can't see him.
We can see the finish now, can't we?
We can see the finishing line coming up. Anderson, after rowing these last 3 years, will know where the finishing line is. It's going to take an almighty effort for George to get back on the terms with Alfie. Yeah, it's good to see all the family boats up here now, all supporting their different rowers.
These are all the Doggett's families, are they?
These are all the families of the boys rowing, plus people who work on the river come out for the day to see the race. Alfie's got probably about another 20 strokes and it's all over. There's the winner. The winner's crossed the finishing line.
Wearing green in second place today was George McCarthy. From the London Rowing Club, 3-time competitor, a Hammersmith local, twice second, wearing orange, now first, Alfie Anderson.
It was a good race actually. George pushed Alfie quite well, and unfortunately his stamina let him down at the end.
It's hard because Alfie, one of my best mates, has won it and it's brilliant, but at the same time I know George, I've known him for years. That's the heartbreak of Doggett. Yeah! Only one can win.
How does it feel to win the race? Yep. It's fucking brilliant. No, it's a relief. It's a relief more than anything. It's nice to win. got all my family, my friends here, so it makes it even better. I've got the best family and friends in the world.
This is his third time of doing it. It was the last time he could do it, and he's now exceeded all our expectations. He's a wonderful grandson.
I'm extremely proud of him, yeah. He's got a career on the river. He's won the Doggett. He won national schools, so yeah, I'm really proud of him, really proud.
He done really well, George. His family should be proud of him, which I know they are as well. He's done really well.
I'm speechless, really, just really proud of him, proud that he's actually taken part.
As you're an apprentice, as you work through the river, you get to hear about it, you get to see it, you talk to the people that have won it, you see that wonderful red coat and the superb badge that they wear, and it's a mark of quality, it's a standard. It's very much part of a commitment to show that you're a good waterman, to show that you can row, to show that you can handle a boat, that you're professional.
You'd never seen the presentation. People would say, oh yeah, on the Wednesday, on the first Wednesday in November, you're presented with your uniform, and then you was given it on that night. You put your badge on, you'd have the dinner and the normal thing to knocking people's hats off on the stairs and all the banter that went with it. But when you actually get there and you've got your parents watching it, and you've got 30 Doggett's men, and you're presented to the Prime Warden as they go in, it's quite moving.
It is a truth universally acknowledged that every Englishman in possession of a large ambition has once dreamt they were a Doggettsman. May I present to you, uniformed and badged, winner of the 304th race for Doggett's Coat and Badge, Alfie Anderson.
For Doggett's to continue is very important for me, and indeed I think for the rest of the watermen and lightermen. I think all too often we forget where we came from. We lose heritage where it can never be replicated and it can never come back.
It's really important for me that Doggett's continues. Obviously my uncle, he won in 1996. My dad raced in 1988 and 89 and he lost both his races. So it's a big race for me, it's a big race for my family. And obviously the continuation of that keeps our thing alive.
It's the tradition of the river. It's a part of London's history and it should keep going and it should be celebrated.
You know, I think it's down to everybody to just encourage people, the young people that are coming to work on the river, to be apprenticed and also row for the race. Equally, you know, rowing is such a popular sport of today. We should be encouraging rowers to come and work on the river.
Events like Doggett's make London great. All the festivals on the river make the River Thames and London the greatest city in the world.
I think Doggett's is so important in the past and the future, because when Thomas Doggett himself died, and don't forget he ran the race himself in the early years, he stated the race should go on forever, and that's the reason.